Welcome, fellow castigators, to the GasMask podcast. We are here watching the presidential debate on CNN, and I'm here with Jensen, and of course, Micah is supposed to be here, but he isn't at all.
Gay.
Yeah,
he's gay. Tommy had schedule issues, so he's not a part of this. For all you people wanting advice.
Yeah, he's not quite as gay as Micah is being at this very moment.
He already told us he couldn't be here.
That's true. He did say ahead of time. And he's not obligated. But Micah, what is going on with this guy?
What's wrong with that boy?
What's wrong with that boy?
Joe Biden and former
What's wrong with
President
that
Donald
boy?
Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office.
Rematch!
Make his case to the American
rematch of the
people
century,
with just
ladies and
over
gentlemen.
4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside
Who's the
Politics
horse in the
and
wig?
co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate
Three-piece suit in June. That is
between the two candidates tonight.
brave.
Before
Yeah,
we introduce
brave.
them, we want to share the rules
sweaty
of the
in
debate
there.
with the audience at home.
I would be.
Former President
Sweaty.
Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes
Just in
to
case you
answer
can't
a
tell them
question
apart and
and
you're just a
1
big
minute
stupid
each for
idiot.
Responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to
Isn't
speak,
that
his
Jake Tapper, the
microphone
guy
will
who
be turned
bragged that
on,
he was
and his
dated
opponent's
Stormy
microphone will be
Daniels?
turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is
I don't know.
muted,
Let me
it will
Google
be
it.
difficult to
When he was first
understand
starting
for
out as
viewers at home.
a journalist, I'm
At the
pretty
end
sure
of the
that's what he
debate,
was.
Each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate.
Hey, what are
By
you watching
accepting
it
our
on?
invitation to debate both candidates and their campaigns,
By
agreed to
who? Fox
accept
just ended their
these
stream.
rules.
Now, please welcome.
I'm on
46th
USA
President
Today's
of the
YouTube
United
channel.
States, Joe Biden.
Oh my gosh!
Did we just end theirs?
Google
Please welcome the 45th President
Oh,
of
there
the
you
United
go,
States,
come back.
Donald Trump.
Google is refusing to show me.
Alright, I'm back. I miss Biden walking up. What was it? Did he walk
Gentlemen,
normally?
thanks so much for being here. Let's
No.
begin the debate, and let's
And he
start
was
with the
murmuring
issue
something.
That voters consistently say is
The mic
their
picked him
top
up.
concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And
What the
typical
hell were
home
you
prices
thinking?
have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under
Yeah, I
President
feel
Trump?
all of
You
that.
got to take a look at what I was left when I became
All those
president.
prices.
What Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment
Wow, I'm
rate
gonna have to
rose
turn up the
15%.
sound.
It was terrible.
What
and
the
so what
heck?
we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's
Ah, shoot. Of course I screw it up immediately.
There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton,
Has he been
Pennsylvania. I come from
smoking?
a household
Jeez.
where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met
It's like
during
he's
the
been
month,
yelling
was
all
a
day.
problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why
Is
I'm
there a
working
drug
so
that
hard
does
to
this
make
to you?
sure I deal with those problems.
I wouldn't
So
know.
we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take
Jeez.
over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his
He's
administration,
giving me
he didn't do much
kid
at all.
trying
By
to
the time he left, things were in
give a
chaos.
speech in front of the class
They were literally
vibes.
chaos. And so we put
Yeah.
things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation
Trump's trying
where
so hard
we
not
now-
to look smug and
We
failing.
brought down the price of prescription drugs. drugs, which is amazing, to $15 for a insulin, which is $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, the bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he's the greatest economy in the world. And, you know,
all the
illegals
crossing the border seem to think so.
We found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that...
Joe, you bombed Syria in your first year.
I'm the only president this century that doesn't
Dude,
have
his chin still looks like balls.
This decade,
it does.
Any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
You want allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up.
Making the
You want
kissy
to
face.
impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest rate in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. Now, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump.
My connection is so bad.
New debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt.
I don't think
former
that's
President
us.
Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you
that's
say.
a them problem.
With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred that tax.
I can still hear it fine.
Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weapons.
Which technically, based on his last comments, Biden should agree with.
You've worked hard.
All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails,
We have
and
1,000
mental institutions
trillionaires
to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national
Switch to the
debt.
Wall Street Journal
He had the
stream. That seems
largest
to be
national
going
debt of
well.
any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires.
Yeah, mine seems to be
And what's
behind.
happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2%
Like a good
taxes.
20
If
seconds
they just
behind
paid
even.
24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period.
President Trump?
We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen the healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
That was
Right,
lame.
he did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to. I think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Tana?
This is the first presidential election.
Oh yeah, you're right.
since
This
the
stream is
Supreme
much
Court
clearer.
overturned Roe v. Wade.
Like the audio is better.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion
should be.
pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious.
Hey, don't make
leaders.
that face,
And
Joe.
what I did is
You
put
did
3
too.
great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this.
Do we have
getting into
Micah?
Other things, but every legal scholar.
Micah, say
throughout the
something.
world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result.
Hello, we're
watching
More
the
liberal
debate.
than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the
Nice.
same thing.
How's my
Texas
man
is
doing?
different. Florida is different.
He's
But they're
doing
all
pretty good.
making their own decisions
Open the
right
Wall
now.
Street
And
Journal
right now,
stream. It's
the
pretty clear.
states control it. That's the vote of the people.
Wall
Like
Street
Ronald
Journal
Reagan, I
stream.
believe in the
Is that on our
exceptions.
website?
I am a person that believes.
YouTube.
And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother.
Is Trump's new slogan going to be "Follow
Some
your
people
heart"?
don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also.
Don't let your memes
because
be
that has to
memes.
do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
It's outrageous.
What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great
Biden
thing.
doing.
Thank you. President Biden.
He looks a little confused right now.
The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different. Look, there's so
Yeah,
many
that
young women
equates.
who've been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous. And then
Dear Lord.
And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
Many young women murdered by the
So we know a lot of people are being raped by immigrants, but here's the deal.
I
don't care.
Here's the deal, man.
They're gonna get raped by other people.
Yeah, they were gonna get raped by their family members anyway.
Killing women.
Yeah,
So
might as
so that makes it okay. It's
As
fine.
far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's
Dude,
frankly, a
look at
very
his
liberal decision.
face.
In many
What
cases,
is
it's
he
the
doing?
opposite. But they're voting,
I don't
and it's
know.
bringing back
He's
the
like-
vote of the people,
he's
which is
constant
what
Wojak.
everybody wanted, including the founders,
Whoa.
if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He
That is
wasn't
not
able to
resting
get it.
bee face. That
Everybody
is
wanted it brought back, and many presidents had
so
tried
much
to
worse.
get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people,
Now
and
he's sad.
that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Vote of the
Staying
people.
on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7
Yeah.
states. I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions.
Why does he
on
have
how
that
far
face?
into a pregnancy
Like,
a
what
woman
is
can
that?
obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits?
What do you think he's
how
on?
late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
Oh,
something that makes
Um,
him look
She had
constipated.
3 trimesters. First
Because he's
time
not
between
buzzed
the woman
like
and the
State of the
doctor.
Union.
Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between
An extreme
the
situation,
doctor-
man.
I mean, between the woman and the state. The idea that
He's getting
the
kinda
politicians-
angry.
that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is
Maybe
ridiculous.
his
It's
one of his
right.
eyes
No
will turn red
politician
like the
making
last
those
time.
decisions. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
He can
Oh, that's
take
nice.
the life of
That's
the
nice,
baby
Joe.
in the 9th month and even after
Yeah, but the
birth.
doctors are
In some
biased,
states,
so-
Democrat-run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we
Like,
decide what to do with
You
it.
you
So
walk
he's-
into Planned
he's
Parenthood,
willing to, as we
they're
say, rip the
they
baby
get
out of
paid
the
to
womb
convince
in
you
the
to
9th month
have the
and
abortion.
kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen. Democrat
not gonna
or
push you away
Republican,
from it,
Nobody
like-
wants it to happen.
That is simply
It's
not
not a
true.
responsible
The
pair
Roe
of
v.
hands
Wade
for
does
that
not
decision.
provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
No.
Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term
That's not
abortion.
true.
Period. Period. Period.
The Roe
That's
v.
not
Wade,
true at
you
all.
have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a
Dude.
radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
He looks like a
51
Muppet.
years,
That's
that
what
was
it
the
is.
law. 51 years. Constitutional
Got the
Scholars-
like
dead
resting
Muppet
face.
stare.
51 years.
Yeah.
And it was taken away.
That's
because this
literally
guy,
it.
With these very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if if the MAGA
gonna do, man?
Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans
MAGA.
control
The
Congress,
Magna
and they pass a
Republicans.
universal
That makes them
ban
sound
Let
cool.
make
on
America
abortion
great again.
Magnum.
across
Republican.
the board at 6 weeks or 7
Magnum.
or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration
Oh.
and security. President Biden, a record number of migrants
kill
have
babies, man.
illegally crossed the southern border on your watch.
Didn't let Trump
Overwhelming border states,
retort.
overburdening
Oh,
cities
they
such as New
turned
York
his
and
mic
Chicago, in some
off.
cases
CNN,
causing
you
real
dicks.
safety and security concerns.
Lame.
See, I don't like
Given
this
that, why
mic
should
turning
voters
off
trust
business.
you
It's
to
wussy.
solve this crisis?
Because we
Debate
want
debates
have a
should be
podcast.
able to debate. They should be able to argue over each other. That's part of the fun. It's part of the spectacle.
Have 2-hour conversation. I've been telling you.
Right? Like they should be sitting down in an armchair, smoking with Bill
Smoking a
Maher.
cigar.
Yeah, see, you get it. I agree.
In addition to that, we found
That would be so much more
When
constructive.
he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers,
Shabbat.
putting them in cages.
And I don't even
Sure,
like Bill
the
Maher,
families
but
were separated.
I would rather
That's
have
not
that.
the right way to go. What I've done
Yeah.
since I've changed
Put them in
laws,
cages, man,
is
like
have
we did back in the
changed
day.
it
I
in a way
mean,
that
what?
now we have a nation where
During
50%
Obama's
fewer
administration.
people coming across the border illegally. It's
Wait
better
a second.
to be
Who
left
who
off.
built the
I'm
cages,
gonna
Joe?
continue to
That was
make
me.
a
Wait.
total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we have the safest border
He's like,
in the history of the
what?
country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was
Resting Muppet face.
I don't know what he
open up
said
our
either.
border, open up our country to
Great.
people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum,
Murderers.
terrorists. We have the largest
rapists,
number of terrorists coming into
terrorists.
our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world.
Yeah,
They've got
he's a little
from the
dead right
Middle
now.
East Everywhere, all over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
I won't say that, but I will say it.
We had the safest
twice.
border in history.
I
Now we
wouldn't
have the
say
worst
they would
border in
endorse
history.
me, but
There's
they
never
said
been
it.
anything like
It was them.
And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed 3, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration.
Yes?
Killed 3 American soldiers. Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating.
How about all of the rapes you mentioned earlier?
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration,
You did that.
You said that you're going to carry out quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American
Yeah,
history.
this is
unquote.
crazy.
Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those
please.
whose spouses are citizens, and including those who
Yes.
have lived here for decades? And
Yes.
if so, how will you do it?
Hey,
Yes.
Marcelo, go.
He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani.
Al-Baghdadi.
Al-Baghdadi. Is that a rapper?
It had a huge impact on everything, not
I hope
just
so.
border, on everything. He's
That
the one
sounds
that
like a
killed
rapper.
people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest.
fake.
They're killing our people
He's
in
so
New York, in
confused.
California, in every state in the union, because we
Somebody
don't have
help
borders
Grandpa.
anymore.
He
Every
doesn't know where he
state
is.
now a border.
He's like, oh
And
man,
because of
that's
his
true.
ridiculous, insane,
He's
and very
right.
stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level
Biden
that we've
migrant
never
crime.
seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls
At
over
the
the
end.
last
Hey,
few
that's
days.
not true, man. I
One of them
haven't
just
raped
spoke
in
to
a
the
long.
mother,
I mean,
and he just had a funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our
Horrible.
country.
Dude, he's
We're
shocked.
literally
shocked
an
face.
uncivilized country now.
He's like, wait, what
He doesn't
happened?
want it to be. He just doesn't know. He
What?
opened the borders. Nobody's ever
Like,
seen anything
I'm
like
sorry,
it. And we
dude.
have to
Just
get a lot of
try
these
to
people
look
out, and we
more
have to get them
alive.
out fast
Just
because they're
try.
going to destroy our
Yeah,
country.
just
take a look at where they're living.
Stand up
They're
straight.
living
You
in
know,
luxury
put your
hotels
mouth
in New
together
York
instead of
City and
dropping
other
it like a
places.
muppet.
Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I
Is he
approved.
asleep?
Choice that I got through Congress.
Oh, no, bro.
All of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
and it's a
Biden.
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a
They
lie.
said,
Every single one.
Yeah, that girl didn't die.
Things are a hell of a lot
Sure, but
It didn't happen.
Literally
1
didn't
million
happen.
of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits,
'Cause
they're all
what
being
happened?
covered now, and he opposed his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits. Came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in
gosh.
France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery.
You crapped on the beach.
He was standing with his 4-star general.
Like
And he
those.
told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because there's a bunch of
Whatever
losers.
they're-
See, I don't
My son
like
was
this
not a loser,
mic
he's not a
muting.
sucker.
I
He was
love
a
it when the other
sucker.
candidate's talking and Trump just stands there and goes, wrong.
First of all, that was a made-up.
Wrong.
You'll be in jail.
They made it up. It was in a third-rate
Wrong.
magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better
The
care
shocked
of our
face
soldiers
is
than I
back.
have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right
Hunter
now.
retorted at himself.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything.
You
along the line. We've done
you
more
you
for
can't
veterans
pay
than
off
any
4-star
president has in
generals.
American
Well-known fact.
American history. And they
No,
now are
they
their
can't be
family.
biased
The
either.
only sacred obligation we have as a country.
They're 4
is
stars.
to care for our veterans when they come home and their families.
Now a
and
5-star
equip them when they go to
general.
war.
Those guys are immortal.
That's what the
Like,
VA is doing.
yeah.
Seen other
We're
people
doing more for
said the
veterans than
opposite,
general.
but that doesn't matter.
All right, thank you so much.
Topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which
Russia.
is
Here we
now
go.
in its third year.
Nuke
Former
Ukraine.
President Trump.
I
Russia's
said it.
I'm going to nuke it
Vladimir
right
Putin
now.
says he'll only end
I
this
have the
war
button right
if
here.
Russia keeps the
He
Ukrainian
puts a big
territory
red
it
button
already
up
claimed,
from under the
and
podium.
Ukraine
Just
abandons
slaps it down.
its bid to
I
join
wouldn't
NATO.
say we should nuke Ukraine, but
Whose
people
terms
say it.
acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So
Neither
let's get
commander
that
nor
straight.
chief, folks.
And they
Yeah,
like me
I know
more
a
than
shit
just
ton of
about any
veterans,
them.
and yeah, that's
And
true.
that's
Not
based
one
on
of them
every
can stand
single
this
bit of
guy.
information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine.
There's
A
for
lot
me a
of
Muppet
people are
right now.
dead right now, much more than people
Yeah,
know.
it's
You
true.
talk
It's
about
Putin's.
numbers, you can
It's
double
all.
those numbers,
It's
maybe
America's
triple
war
those numbers.
mongering that Putin's
He
all
did nothing to
in
stop
arms
it.
about.
In fact, I think he encouraged
He's like,
Russia.
well, if we could
Doesn't
just
it?
do this sort
I'll
of
tell you
thing,
what
then
happened. He was so
I'll
bad
do it
with
too.
Afghanistan. It was such a horrible
do right now.
embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, And so he's got no vote. But he should have fired those generals. No
Yeah, I took that guy
general
out, that
fired
friggin' liar.
The most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment.
Who just
behind.
walked in front
We
of the
lost
camera?
13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were
Professional.
obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, "You know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my." This was his dream. I talked to him about it. His dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke.
Because they have a big,
I wouldn't
they
let
have big
anybody
balls
do business with them.
and
They
a big
ran
penis.
out of money. They
Biggest
were broke. They had no
penis,
money for
the
Hamas.
best balls.
They had no
I
money for
flaunted
anything.
all around.
No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all.
Iran could see
That's
my
not
balls.
true, man.
This place-
Iran could see my balls with a telescope.
It
President Biden?
was see it from where I stood.
You could see my balls from space.
Situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops.
My balls are the eighth
Killed
wonder of the world.
brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. Here they
He
said
stutters
they
and
just
then says
haven't had
brain
it. That's all
damage.
it is.
All right.
He didn't do a thing
All right.
when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans.
Mr. Biden, are you having headaches?
of Afghanistan during that area.
Or is it brain
Number three,
damage?
we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told
Changed
Ukraine,
the
told
dates
Trump,
that we
"Do
needed to
whatever
leave
you
because it
want."
looked cool
Dude,
on
Every-
paper.
every time he talks,
And
it's
that's
it's
exactly
in
what
numbered
Trump did.
points. Like he totally didn't memorize
Whatever you
answers.
want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take
Totally
Kyiv
not.
in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet
Over.
Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. And he, in fact,
Come
didn't
on,
do it at
Joe.
all. He didn't
Number
do it.
5 and
He
6,
done.
and then you can have a
They've
little
lost
cocaine.
They've lost thousands and thousands of troops. 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable.
Food in my
Look,
balls, in
this
your
is a war that
jaws.
never should have
That's what I
started.
say.
If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that
You
was
should though.
spent
That would be
on this
fair.
war, and we
Zelensky's
shouldn't be spending. It should have never
awful.
happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled.
Ooh,
People being
now that's a bold
killed
promise.
So needlessly, so stupidly.
Oh.
And I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled
Before
fast
he's
before I
sworn
take
in.
office.
All right.
Biden, you have a minute.
Dang.
I'll remember that
He's a
one.
war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people, and he has made one thing clear: he wants to
more than
reestablish
that.
what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus?
Well,
What do
you
you think
can
happens
fucking
to those
have
NATO
it.
countries?
Jeez.
And so if you want a
See,
war,
you can tell this is
ought to
a memorized
find out
answer
what
because he's
gonna
not
do,
responding
because
to Trump.
If in fact he does what he
Trump isn't
said,
saying that he's
by
going to
the
let
way-
Putin take
by the way,
Ukraine.
all that money we
He says he's gonna peace talk it.
We make here in the United States, we give them the
And
weapons,
end the war.
not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced.
Joe
as
sounds like
much
he's talking to a wall.
equipment for Ukraine as we have. That's why.
Didn't he sign an executive order
Thank you.
that they're
Moving
going to
on
be
to the Middle
funding
East.
Ukraine
In
for like
October,
next 10 years or
Hamas
something?
attacked Israel,
Yes.
killing more than 1,000
So
people
that's
and
just a
taking
lie.
hundreds of
Yeah,
hostages.
it is.
Among those held
just
and
a lie.
believed
They only
to
gave him
still be
goods,
alive
man.
are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional
That face.
weapons will you use to get
Whoa!
to end the war?
He's like doing an anime.
Number one, from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Endorsed the plan I put forward. There's
Huh?
three stages to it. The
Man.
first stage is
Oh.
the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional
Chokes and
conditions.
dies.
The third phase is no.
Oh,
people know
ceasefire.
the war.
Okay.
The only one who wants the war to continue
Wow.
is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard.
Oh, wow.
To get them to accept. In the meantime,
I'm surprised you
what's
just
happening
condemned Hamas.
in Israel, we're
He's
finding
gonna get
that
flack
the
for
only
that.
thing I've denied Israel
Oh
is
boy.
200-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons.
I mean, I know
they
there's a
need
lot
when
of
they
Jewish
need
people in the
it. By the
Democrat
way,
Party, so I
I'm the
understand
guy
why,
who organized
but
the world against Iran when they had a
risky.
full-blown
Like, that's not a good way to keep
counter-ballistic
the woman
missile
vote.
attack on Israel. No one was hurt.
You know what I mean?
No one Israeli was accidentally killed.
Very
And
ironic,
it
but yes.
stopped. We saved
Ironic.
Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so that's
Biggest
they're
producer
two
supported
different
the
things.
Israel's, man.
Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts.
No.
Trump is so smug, he knows he's dying out of here.
Get Hamas like we did Ben
It's like,
Laden. We don't have to
can't
do it.
believe this.
And by the way, they've been greatly weakened.
Just
Hamas.
letting him
Greatly
stew
weakened, and they should be.
Yep.
They should
and
be
rationalizing
But you've
things.
got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Let's go back to Ukraine for one
Yes.
second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars as Secretary General.
Biden's
of NATO,
reactions
said,
are
"Trump did the most
just
incredible job
so
I've ever
good.
seen." They wouldn't have to do it. We're going out of business. We're spending almost 100% of the He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion.
Show me the
more spent, and it has a
money!
bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't he should
shit.
become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Wow.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO.
Now
He's
that was aggressive.
going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our
Yeah, that was,
It may be a big ocean, but we've ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe.
I wasn't
What
expecting
happens
that.
if, in fact,
We
you
don't
have-
need
you
NATO.
Continue to go into NATO.
Nobody
The
needs
Article
NATO.
5 agreement. Attack on one is
Yes,
attack
pull
on
out
the
of
other.
NATO.
You want to start the nuclear war? He keeps
Liquefy
talking about
NATO.
Let Putin go in and
Pull out.
control Ukraine. And then
NATO
we're
served
going
its
to
purpose, and
follow
now
the
it's been
process.
around for
This is
however
what
many
happens now.
decades for no
He has
reason.
no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Get rid of
By
it.
the way, I got 50 other nations
Just
around
causing
the world
problems.
to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major
Who
war in
tied
Europe is
Trump's
ever
tie?
going to be contained just to Europe.
This is funky.
President Trump, just to
It's a
follow
little
up,
jank.
would you support the creation
he
of
did
an
it.
independent
He's like,
Palestinian
"This is the
state
best
in
tie."
order to achieve peace in the region?
I
I'd
did
have to
My
say,
father taught me
before
to
we
tie
do
it
that,
like this.
The problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is
point.
they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of
Right,
billions
yeah, that's
of
true.
dollars. I said, and he's right
A lot of
about this.
companies
I
don't
said,
want what we
"No,
have, but
I'm
we're
not
supposed
going
to take
support
what
NATO if you don't pay."
they give
They
us.
asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia?
China.
At a very secret meeting of the 28
Comes from
states at that time,
China.
nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do
All
that.
your
And
items
you know what
come
happened?
from China.
Billions
Yeah,
and
if you ever
billions of
read the
dollars
book
came flowing in the
Rising
next day,
Sun
the
by
next
Michael
months.
Crichton, pretty much
Now
explains
we're in
it
the same
all.
position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your
Oh, Lord.
supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop
January
the
6th.
constitutionally mandated counting.
It was
of
an
electoral
uprising.
votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the
Ah,
Constitution.
jeez.
What do you
There
say
we
to
go.
voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through.
My
very few.
gosh.
On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid
He comes
people.
in.
What happened to the
We're a
United
bunch of
States'
stupid people.
reputation under this man's leadership
So true.
is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, what they say. But she's saying,
Documentary filmmaker,
oh, no,
they
it's my
say.
responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them
Yep.
down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down. The mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to the Capitol, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged.
Right, Capitol Hill.
And a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well, to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no.
Hallelujah.
He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be in.
They should be in jail.
They should be in jail for walking through a door that was unlocked for them and said, "Hey, go ahead."
Thank you, President
It was
Biden.
let in
President
by
Trump?
the police.
Well, they've
Police
gone
let him
through
in.
Some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the
Public
lives
building.
of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard.
Yep.
They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, he is...
Bro.
I love how he shook his head.
simply not true.
Like, yeah, I am.
The fact is that there was no effort on his part.
The only person who's politically persecuting is me. I mean,
every one of those who are convicted deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turn them over statues.
No, they
The
didn't kill
idea
anyone, dude.
that those people are patriots.
The police shot.
When I asked them the first two
woman.
debates we had,
Yeah,
the first
seriously.
time,
That's
I
the only
said,
person who
"Denounce
died,
the Proud
One
Boys."
death.
He said,
Yeah.
"No, I'll tell them to stand by."
and it was on
The idea
the.
he's refusing. Will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done.
He's so
He's
confused.
done horrible
It's like,
things.
what?
All of the death caused at the
Wait, what?
telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want
I'm
$1
a
billion,
traitor?
you
Huh?
change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with his son.
The way he talks
This
is
man
so
a
funny.
criminal. This man,
It's
you're
quid
lucky.
pro
You're
quo.
lucky. I did nothing
This
wrong.
man is
We
criminal.
had a
So
system
softly.
that was rigged and disgusting.
pro
I did
quo.
nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President
Quid
Biden,
pro
you
quo.
have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong
How
relative
dare
to what you're
you.
talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek
Everything is
against
numbered.
any man
Every answer is
just
numbered.
because you're president is wrong.
And he can't
Simply
can't
no
help but say
president's
it.
ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil
Number three,
penalties.
number
How
four.
many billions of dollars
Yeah, I
you
don't
get
know
in
about
civil
that, bro.
penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife.
How
was
dare
pregnant.
you get laid?
What
bastard.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Where's my porn
Allegations.
star?
I didn't have
Allegations.
sex with a porn star. Number one. Number two.
They're all-
that was
it's
a
all
case that was
allegations.
Started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That
Oh,
case
he's
is going to
numbered,
be
yeah.
appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases on
Make
the road
America
coming.
great
Well,
again.
next
He's got
case,
a
why
whole
don't you try to
range of
bring some
issues he has to
evidence into
face.
it? How about
I don't know
that?
what the juries will do, but I do know he has.
We can't know anything if there's no evidence.
The fact that, could you ever think you hear any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any presidents say that I thought he had some good ideas? What got me involved to run the
Yeah,
country was
I'm
after
pretty
my son
confident a
died
president
in
has said that
Iraq
before.
because of Iraq. I said I wasn't going to run again. Until I
Oh,
was
chat, can we pull up that
Charlottesville,
clip?
Virginia. People
Can we-
coming over
can we get that?
carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic
Oh,
choir
here's the
they sang
Charlottesville.
Oh.
and what the young
Bro,
man got killed
this is
by
literally
Smoke.
like bullet
And
points
they asked
of.
him, they said,
stuff
what
that's
do you think of
been
those people?
Right.
People who-
And it's
dragged out over and over
it's so
again.
random.
And the ones
Trump
that
has
said, "I
nothing to
think
do
fine
with
people on
some
both sides."
random gang of
What
Charlottesville
American
Nazis.
president
Like
would ever
what?
say? Nazis coming
Like,
out
yeah,
of
you know
fields,
the
carrying
thing.
torches, singing.
So they were good people, man.
Carrying swastikas. Fine people.
Unless Trump was
This
in
is
that
the
guy's
guy
house,
who's
I don't want to
done
hear
some
it.
good
Like
things. I'd like to know what they
he
are.
wasn't there. He wasn't
Good
anywhere
things
near
that was done,
there.
That's what he said.
Wasn't
This guy
encouraging
has
those
no sense of
people.
American democracy.
Like
President Trump.
so
Jake,
ridiculously
both of you know that
unrelated.
story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville.
He's shifting
He
his
ran
eyes
because
around.
It was his
He's
last
like,
chance.
"What?"
He's not equipped to be president.
He just
You know
looks
it,
so
and I know it.
shocked.
It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency.
It's like he's looking
without
around the
question,
audience,
the worst president.
looking.
The worst
Well, I mean,
president
looking
in the
for an
history of our
audience
country.
because there
We
isn't
shouldn't
one
be
there.
having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place.
What?
Every anchor has,
You mean?
every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was
Debunked.
fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as
I
an
don't think he
excuse
knows
to run.
anything.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the
You
only
did
reason
not
I ran.
listen to what was
I ran
said.
because I was worried a guy like this guy
You
could get elected.
stupid
He
idiot.
thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches. Then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw it with our own
Idea
eyes.
that
We saw what happened on January 6th.
No
We
idea.
saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top
What?
cabinet officers.
His own
refused to
vice
be
president
president
did what?
His vice president doesn't
I just had this mental image of Mike Pence smashing his head through a window and just being like, "Rah!"
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right
Yeah,
back
that'd
with
been pretty
more from the
hardcore.
CNN presidential debate.
That was crazy. Whoa. That was so crazy.
Why won't it let me?
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that was something.
It's just all the same talking points brought up by Biden. Like,
Right.
just
Same old, same old.
nothing of substance. No ideas, like genuine ideas. Just nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah, yeah. It's. Yeah. I mean, that's why it kind of feels like memorized answers that he's using to improvise relatively. Because Trump is like giving, actually like, oh, I'm gonna peace talk with Ukraine. I'm gonna, between Putin and Ukraine and Zelensky, and we're gonna let Israel defend themselves, and they can, wipe Hamas out if they want. Like very, very specific answers. But Biden is like just standing there like parroting fake news from stuff that happened like forever ago. Probably because he can't remember
that is not
anything
correct.
new. Like, January 6th, Charlottesville folks.
So there's 5 people.
He banged a porn star, and that's illegal for some reason.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's not particularly compelling.
Was it the porn star, or was it the like sexual assault claim that was in court and
Wait a
then
minute.
proven wrong, and then she had to like pay him money? The sexual assault one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, none of the assault allegations ever proved true. And most of them were like ridiculous stories.
And the one
Like, oh, he groped me on a public plane not in
I
first
bet you-
class. Like, you know, like stuff that's hard to believe. Like, dude, he's got a private jet. What was he doing on the plane? And if he was on the plane, why wasn't he in first class? Like all the allegations were really just stupid stuff like that, where it's like, you know, even if you want to believe it, like, there's no way you can, you know, like the fact that his opponents accepted it is just so stupid, because you should be able to objectively be like, okay, yeah, I hate the guy, but obviously that's not true, because that's stupid.
Yeah.
And so it's just annoying. And Biden bringing it up just makes him look weak. Like, really? You don't have anything else? You don't want
to... Oh, I think they're back.
Live from
Maybe.
Georgia. Let's talk about persistent challenges you both faced in your first
like
term,
Trump is bringing
and
up
you'd certainly
like
face again in a second term.
atrocities that
President
happened
Biden,
this week
while black unemployment
with the border
dropped
crisis.
to a
He's like,
record
what do you
low,
mean, man? We built the cages.
black
I mean, you
families
built the
still
cages.
earn
And all
far
Biden
less
can do is
than white families. Black mothers are still
parrot-
3 times more likely to die
parrot
from
allegations from years
causes,
and years ago.
and black Americans are imprisoned
It's
at
like
5
opposite ends.
times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed?
If you
that
don't vote
haven't
for me,
made
you
more
ain't black.
progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress. Fact of the matter is, there's more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number 2, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time.
Is that provable?
Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans.
We got
And
they got
dealing with
the
segregation
silver spoon in their
exists among
mouth, and then
these corporate,
you know the government
these
things.
corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses.
I mean, come on.
In addition to that, we find that the impact of the
Corporate
the
cunts.
choice that black families have to make relative to child care
Yeah, we
is
made
incredibly difficult. When we
the
did
baby
first
state,
piece of
the
legislation
mother
that
baby
passed,
state
I
thing.
was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We're going to make sure we provide for child care costs. We've got to make sure, because when you
With
provide
inflation,
for
how
child
could
care
that
protections,
possibly be true,
you
man?
Increase economic growth because more people can be.
What are you talking
in the
about?
job market. So there's more to be done.
There's more to be done.
It's
you've
hard.
done enough,
Like, it's
Joe.
harder. It's harder to raise kids in
You have
general
49 seconds left.
with the
What do you
expenses,
say to
let
black
alone black
voters
kids.
who
You know,
are
like
disappointed
just
with
any
the
kids.
progress so
Period.
far?
Like, it's hard
It's
for
not
everyone. Why?
important
How
for me
can
to
you say
say
things have
inflation
improved
is still
for
hurting
anyone?
badly. For example,
Yeah.
I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit.
What?
I know inflation's bad, but I'm gonna hand out some more free money.
I made sure that in a situation
Yeah.
where all those black families and those black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years,
What?
their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years.
That's crazy.
Millions have benefited from that, and we're going to do a whole lot more.
So if you're black,
Thank
you
President
don't
Trump.
have
And he
responsibility in
caused the
America.
inflation. He's blaming inflation.
We'll just
And he's right, he's
government will
not
give you
prepared.
everything.
He caused the inflation, and it's killing black
caused the
families and
inflation,
Hispanic
Joe?
families
Yes,
and just
thank you,
about
Trump.
everybody.
The inflation.
It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food, where it's doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could
So
be
true.
18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs.
I didn't even
and they're
think of
taking
that.
Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation. Because you know why? The economy was flat on its back.
All right,
50%
screw you,
unemployment.
man.
He decimated the economy.
What?
Absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there's no inflation.
How could you make such an outrageous
No
lie?
jobs.
How could you?
Provided thousands and millions of jobs for individuals who are involved.
We
in
were
it.
all there paying for
We
things.
made sure that they have health insurance. We have
Everyone was
covered-
there.
If the ACA has the
Shovel-ready jobs, man. We're gonna dig that hole. I'm gonna give you $50 an hour.
The family get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They've tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again.
Uh-oh, 3-letter agency.
So we
Watch
find
out.
ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing anything. I put
Liquefy the
we put more
three-letter
police on the street
agencies.
than any administration has.
Government
And that's
overreach.
We're providing for
Yeah.
equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge
What?
is the climate crisis.
You were the one who did the mandates.
2023 was the hottest year in recorded history.
We didn't
and
have to
communities
stay home
across
from,
the country
you
are
know,
confronting
work or
the
whatever until
devastating
you
effects
came
of
along,
extreme
bud.
heat, intensifying wildfires,
punk.
stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels.
Yeah, punk.
Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any
Goofy
action
goober.
as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
He's like, oh man, I
was
did
his
say
name.
that.
And he called
Wait,
it to him for 10
wait a
years. They're
second.
taking great
Oh,
offense at
shit.
it, and now they see it
Oh
happening.
no, bro.
They see what I did for criminal justice reform.
I
and
said
for
a lot
the
of
racist things.
black,
Wait.
colleges
It's
and
true, the
universities
liberals
where I
want
funded
less
them.
police. They're trying to
And
take all their
the
jobs. Of course the
opportunity
police
zones with Tim, as you
are
know,
backing
Tim
the
Scott
opposition.
was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina.
Police are
He came to
racist.
me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic.
Like, I don't even know if
development
it's
acts
true,
ever in
but,
the
like,
country.
I believe it.
Opportunity zones, and the biggest beneficiary
just makes
are
sense.
blacks.
Makes sense.
And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this
They're
morning
saying
where
ever.
ever. The
I don't
best
know.
numbers.
Who are they? I don't know.
He's
Couldn't
lost
tell you.
Much
But
of
that's
the
what they're
black
saying.
Tell me.
because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people
Millions
pouring
and
into
millions.
our country, and they're going to take the jobs. And it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely
Yes.
clean air, and we had it. We had H2O.
He had
We
H2O, the best
numbers ever.
H2O.
And we were using all forms
Let's
of
forget
energy,
the
all forms,
fluoride.
everything. And yet,
No
during
fluoride.
my 4
Forget the
years,
abortion
I had
pill
the
water.
best
Let's
environmental
go.
numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic.
No more
just before I
soy
walked
boys.
on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea.
The
anything
idea,
he said
man.
is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
Yeah, but what did that have to do with
By the
water,
way,
buddy?
Black colleges. I came up with $50 billion
about-
for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges.
What does that have to do with climate change?
Don't have the kind of contributors
Black
that
people, they make
have.
more emissions or whatever, man.
Build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money, but now they'll be able to get those
They'll
jobs.
figure it out.
What?
We're in a situation where the idea that
We can't fight climate change because we don't have enough black students doing it.
Cleanest water.
What?
Cleanest water.
Exactly.
Isn't that a damn thing for the environment? He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately
It's
joined
a
it.
sham.
Because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change.
Well,
And he did the
Paris's
damn thing
climate
about it.
isn't our
I was gonna
water.
do all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a
Mouth
ripoff of the
wide
United
open.
States. And I
Worst
ended
trade
it
deal in the
because I
history of
didn't
trade
want to
deals.
waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security.
Yeah.
He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that
Why does he keep saying the idea?
we were
Your sentence,
we're
man.
not members of
Words.
How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get us.
I'm trying to
One of the largest
shove one
producers in the
out, but
world.
it's so hard when I can't
We're
squat
making
on
significant
camera.
progress. By 2035, we will have cut
2035, man.
We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps.
That's
where thousands of young
crazy.
people will learn how to.
I think a more imminent threat is nuclear warfare.
We're moving into
and
How
American-
how are we?
change.
I just don't understand this.
Cause
How are
push.
we fighting
But the
climate
idea
change
that
by putting
he
more money
claims
into
that He
universities?
has the biggest heart up here, and he's really concerned.
What?
about
Because all the climate activists, dude, come on, they're
pollution and
they're
about
doing God's
climate.
work.
I've not seen
What?
any indication of that.
They're
And by
they're
the
doing
way,
absolutely
with
nothing.
regard to
They're not scientists.
prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for.
I'm gonna
One,
fix the
voluntarily.
pricing,
I
man.
made sure
And the
every
scientists aren't
company
doing
in the
anything
world,
either. Their
every
solution is
pharmaceutical
electric
company
cars, which
cannot
is
have to
Thank
pay.
you.
And by the way,
worse in the long run.
So every day, millions of
These-
Americans struggle just to make ends
And
meet. For many older
perpetuates
Americans,
slavery.
Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10
I'm gonna give
years.
all the seniors $1
Will
million.
you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right
Whoa.
now,
So you
everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, I would not raise the cost of Social
Well, yeah,
Security
but
for
they're also
anybody
the
under
1%.
$400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
What?
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures
Why not
that you think that
50%?
would be able to
Why not
help keep
75%?
Social Security solvent, or is that one?
Come on, man.
enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicaid.
He's shaking his head. He's just like,
And that's
Yeah,
what-
because he's trying to give all the
program
Social
put
Security
forward
to
by the House
illegals.
Republican caucus
Like, it's
that
not
he
going to help
supports
anyone.
is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't
man.
need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And under the ACA, as I said, we're in a circumstance.
Not with inflation.
400,000 people. 40 million people.
If no one can
not
afford
have
health care,
insurance because
how
of
good
pre-existing
is whatever
conditions,
system
only
you
allows them
have
to
in
have that
place?
insurance is the
Exactly.
fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year.
Yeah, we remember the racist speeches.
$15,000 towards the tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face.
He's so sad now. You just made him sad.
And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he said he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired.
He's a liar.
Because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation...
Can't trust a liar.
All these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs.
I love how he's got the pen in his hand, and he's looking down at notes, but we can see that he's never actively writing.
We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about...
Like, his notes totally weren't pre-written
laureates, economists, they all said
at all.
That if Trump is reelected,
he's definitely writing.
And inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you.
Ooh, 159. Don't hurt yourself.
Many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
That was a funny comparison.
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody.
That's a good point, Trump, but please answer the question.
He should have fired
if you will.
Every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world?
Let him cook.
Did you fire Mayorkas?
He's
cooking.
Many from prisons.
He's boiling them.
From mental institutions. Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country.
Did you fire the people who
as you and I
screwed in the Senate?
Waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
It's not what Russia says. It's not what England says.
The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online.
Go on the internet, man.
159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number. Presidential historians. They've had meetings and they voted. Who's the worst president in American history? One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is
that can't possibly be true. I can think of a number.
Yeah, we need Tommy here to research this.
We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of.
Think about the amount of trigger-happy presidents we've had.
Back to work, and we should encourage businesses.
Just bombing people for nothing. How could he possibly be the worst in history? How?
More affordable if you want to take your minute.
Is there politically biased? Maybe.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have
stupid.
Other things. They rate him the worst.
Trump disease.
What he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire, so everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariff.
How much is my pay rate? Higher than that. That's the
gonna
taxes.
Cost the average American $2,500 a year more, because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact,
He loves his numbers. He loves to show off that he can count. Maybe it's part of convincing people he's competent.
Trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you,
I watched
President Biden.
Sesame
Let's
Street
let's
for
discuss
2
an
weeks at
epidemic
Camp
impacting
David.
Millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up under your term.
I'm just gonna say it, dude.
Under your term, it has gone up.
America has a
Former President Trump,
fentanyl
despite the efforts
crisis.
that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from
People are
overdoses
dying
every
here.
year, primarily from
crazy.
fentanyl and other opioids.
I
What
love
do
the
you do to
fentanyl
help
crisis
Americans
memes because
right
they've
now in
actually
the
been
throes of
constructive.
addiction, who are struggling to get the
Like they've
treatment they
actually
need?
shed light on the problem.
To finish up,
You're gonna build a
we
wall.
now have the largest
hilarious.
Stop
deficit
the
in the history
opioids.
of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He
China,
gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate.
China,
He gets money
China,
from China.
China.
We have, so I think he's afraid to
I
deal
would
with him or
never.
something. But you
China.
notice he never took out my
China.
tariffs because we bring in so much money with the
We need a
tariffs
China
that
count up
imposed
in
on
here.
China. He never
Oh,
took
China.
it away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he
China.
hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much
Can't
money.
do it.
But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China.
China.
China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to
Build
get
the
the
wall.
treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well
Come
in
on.
addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever
dog.
seen, the way they can spot it. We did
Man's
a lot.
best friend,
We
that's what they
we were
say.
getting
You
very
should bring
low
the dog
numbers,
on stage.
very,
Show
very
us.
low numbers.
Prove it.
Then he came along.
I want to see the dog.
numbers- have you seen the
See
numbers?
this dog?
now?
Have you
It's
seen
not
this
only
dog?
the 18 million people.
I'm
that I
t-
believe
I'm
is
telling
in
you,
a
this
row,
dog.
because The gotaways, they don't even talk about
Can
gotaways.
smell anything.
But the numbers of
Okay, my stream is not synced with yours because he has not talked about a dog.
across our border. The
Yeah, you're
worst
just
Just push.
you need to
Just
refresh.
drag it forward.
at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
That's statistically true.
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while.
For a while. You know, we had a couple months there where it went down a little.
Big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it
You
costs a
know
lot
what
of
would
money.
help
That was part of this
with
deal
the
we put
illegal
together.
drug
It's bipartisan
trafficking?
deal.
I don't
More
know.
fentanyl
Maybe a
machines,
wall.
More be able to detect drugs. More
Yeah.
numbers of-
You know
of
how
increased numbers.
we could protect America from drugs?
And when we had that deal
Protection.
done, he called his
Like
big
literally
wall.
literally doing anything,
No, he never argued
Yeah.
it's not a good
including
deal.
but not
It's a
limited
really
to
good
a
deal.
wall.
We need those machines. We need those
And
machines.
you could put some
We're coming
people
down
with
very
guns
hard in
on the
every country
wall.
in Asia in
Just
terms
the
of
thought.
And a
precursors
moat
for
with
fentanyl.
gators,
Mexico is
laser
working with us to make
gators.
sure they don't have the
Western
technology to
Gators,
put it
the
together.
Florida
That's
Gators.
what we have to
Yes.
do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden.
And the
President
dog.
Trump, and again, the
Yes,
question is
and
about
the dog.
Americans
Laser,
who are
laser
addiction
dogs.
right now,
Laser
struggling
drug
to
sniffer
treatment
dogs. With
this
with
is
lasers.
pertaining to it. He ended remain in
Lasers.
Mexico.
Beating up my
He
mic.
ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We
Like
had
a fish,
so many
folks.
things that we had
You
done.
catch 'em,
Hard
you
negotiations
release
with
'em.
Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We
Yeah, it
always
should
pay
be like
$6
turn around.
billion for a every time we say a hostage.
No,
we have a
yeah,
hostage, a
forget
Wall
catch
Street
and
Journal
release.
reporter.
How about, hey, turn around?
I think a good guy, and he
No.
was over there
No
because
catch, no
Putin
release.
was laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter.
They
I
should be
will
like
have him out very
the
quickly.
French
As soon
taunters
as I take office,
from Monty
before I take
Python
office, I said
up there.
I literally.
Like, oh, you went to
Not-
come
not-
inside?
That reporter out. He
Now
should
go
have had
away
that a
before
long
I
time ago.
taunt you
But
for a
Putin's probably
second
asking for billions and billions of
Oh,
dollars
man.
because this guy pays
That's
it
what we
every
need to
time.
hire.
We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5
Just
people.
put John Cleese
I
with a
got
gun up
58
there.
people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Turn around or I would
Trump,
shoot you
Let's
in
turn to
the
concerns that
arse.
voters have about each of you.
Yes.
President
Run
Biden,
along
you
now.
will be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns
Yeah.
about your capability to handle the
That
toughest
should
job
be
in the world
a skit.
well into your 80s?
We need to make these skits happen.
First of all, I spent
Write that
half my
down.
career being
Write that down, write that down.
criticized as being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person.
I'm not
ever
old.
elected to the United States Senate.
I'm about
And I'm the oldest.
100 and
This guy's
something or
300
other.
and a lot less
100 billion trillion.
Just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 50 million new jobs, 800,000.
Yeah, you just
more investment.
spent your whole term cleaning it up, huh?
Billions of dollars. in
Like you're
private
condemning
investment
yourself either
in-
way.
in
Either you're
private
slow and
we are growing.
incompetent,
We, by the way,
or
we
you're
brought off a
incompetent
lot
and
of people.
destructive.
Well,
There's no
the whole idea.
there's no middle ground. There's no way to sell you as good or
And we
competent.
lost it
Yeah.
Like
because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs
find the
overseas.
he's a failure by his own admission.
So I went to South Korea.
Pretty
I
much.
convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States, and they're guess what? Those fabs.
Samsung
they call,
from
to
China?
build these chips. Those fabs pay
China.
over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them, and there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested in being
Google
built right now
Samsung.
in the United States, creating significant.
Where did he say
jobs
he went
for
with
Americans
Samsung?
from all over the world.
In,
Oh,
Biden, you have
made
40 seconds left. Would you like to add
Samsung
anything?
into
Samsung
investment
is-
in America.
The idea that
Samsung is
somehow
Japanese.
we are this.
No, I just looked it up. It's Korean.
I never heard a president talk
Really?
like this before.
Yeah,
Oh.
South
We-
Korean.
We're the envy of the world.
Oh, of course, it's not North. It's not going to be North Korean.
Wouldn't trade places in the
No.
United States of America.
South Koreans. I love the South Koreans. I kiss them on the mouth. I do not like China.
We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in
The
the world that
Chinese are
keeps our
different.
word, and everybody trusts us. All of
Joe
our
Biden
I love all the
Yeah.
little
and our
Asians.
Little Asians.
They all say so.
Kim Jong-un sent love letters to Putin, etc.
They love
They
me.
they all say no Asians have
Thank
loved
you.
a president
Former President
more
Trump, to
than me.
follow up,
That's
you
what
will
they
be
say.
82 at the end
The
of your
giant,
second
the orange
term.
giant. That's what
do
they
you
tell
say
me.
to voters who have concerns about your capability?
That's all. That's what they all say. That's what I
took
hear.
2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year, and
See, Biden
knock
laughs,
on
but
wood,
it's
wherever we may
defensive.
have worked,
Like,
that I'm in very good health. I just
you want to
had
follow up on that?
club
You want to actually do it?
championships, Not even
Huh?
senior. 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it.
Ooh,
He
he's
doesn't do it. He
bragging.
can't hit a ball 50
Oh.
yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think
do you
I'm in
mean?
very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter,
Dang.
but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good.
The
I feel
homo
same.
brag.
But I was willing to take a cognitive test, and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him.
He's dumb.
Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor, and then I took another one, a similar one, and one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is
Sharp.
6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're.
what?
Just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driver's
He was an inch off, ladies and gentlemen. He's a liar.
handicap, which when I was vice president.
What are you talking
I was
about?
6.
Is this a fat
So wait,
joke?
he's 6'4" and 200 pounds? That's pretty normal.
Yeah, what's he trying to say?
He's the 6th handicap of all.
I was 8 handicap. 8. I have, you know how many,
You turned on the mic for that. That was all he had.
Okay, let's,
He's a handicap.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's
Look at
not
him.
act like children.
you
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say
it's
right
free,
now
fair,
that political violence
free,
in
fair
any
election.
form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as
Fact
Nancy
check.
Pelosi
True.
said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and
Boom,
clear.
bam.
But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And
Fair,
I'll tell
free,
you something.
baby.
I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places,
My many
enjoying
mansions.
myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a
He's
president.
so bad, ladies and
But I'm
gentlemen.
going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un,
driving
and,
us right there.
President Xi of China,
Over.
Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
He's
all
in the
of these,
driver's
Putin,
seat. He's a crazy
they don't
man.
respect him. They don't fear him.
He doesn't have
They
his driver's
nothing
license.
He
going
doesn't
with
know
this
what all the
gentleman,
buttons
and he's
do.
going to drive us into World War III.
He's playing.
He's on something. I know
We're
it.
in a World War III.
He's playing Megan Thee
Let
Stallion.
him follow and win and let
It's
Putin do what
it's
you want
terrible.
to do. Just do what
It's
you
the
want.
worst tasting
Just
music
do
I've ever heard.
5. An attack on one is an
That's what
attack
they
on
say.
all. A required response. The
The
idea.
idea, that
the
idea.
I can't think
The
of a single
dabba-dee-dee-doo.
major leader in the world
A
who
doobie
would
doobie
trade
doo.
places with the job I've done, what they've done.
Did you know I invented the
Because
doobie
we're a
doobie doo?
powerful nation. We have wonderful people.
Nobody had
Because of the
ever
people.
done that before.
It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything.
I don't
They
know if
step
I'm
up
just
when
not
needed.
paying attention to him
Right
or
now,
like
we're needed. We're needed to protect
I'm
the
just
world because
discombobulated
our
every
own
time he
safety is at
talks.
stake.
Discombobulated.
Again, you want to have a war. Just
he's like
Discombobulated.
verbally flashbanging me, which
make
is
sure they move on.
it's
See what
not
happens
good
in
when you
Poland,
verbally
Hungary,
flashbang
and
me.
other places around
He's
the
not
world.
terribly
Then we
coherent.
have a war.
President Trump, as I
I'm
come
not
back
quite
to
sure
you
what his
for
answer
a
was.
follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might.
Because he can't finish the sentence.
Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump. Nothing. He knew not to do it. Obama. Not going to play games with me. He knew that.
Oh.
I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people. And they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old. All
So
because
sad.
of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question
So
was,
sad.
will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these But the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued.
Listen here, Jack. You're a whiner.
Across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local. None. But you continue to provoke this lie. That somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you,
It wasn't all on
I
video.
doubt you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose,
Everyone on social media wasn't seeing it in real time. No, all the riots didn't happen.
We'll be right back.
No, definitely
Tell
not.
that to every
CNN
business owner
presidential
whose
debate,
store
live from
burned.
Georgia.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of the courts just didn't look at the evidence, like out of worry that they were gonna get dragged into political bias or whatever, one way or another. I think that's what happened to the Supreme Court. They didn't look at anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, just a stupid idiot. There's been definitely no swaying of votes, man. Just
No.
the largest mail-in voting and extended week-long voting ever. Totally.
Yeah, totally
no
not
false
totally not
votes there.
scuffed. The most, like an absolute ton of dead people mail-in
Yeah.
voted in that election. My dead grandmother voted in that election.
Insane. Your dead grandmother voted in the
Yes.
election? Are you
And
serious?
she died before Trump's first presidency.
How do you
Like, that was
even
so
check
long
that?
ago. Well, because we got mail for it. Like, oh, thank you.
No.
It all worked out and everything. And we're like, what? No,
What?
she can't do that.
That is insane.
It is, and it happened to a ton of people. And someone counted it, and it's like there's always dead people. Mail-in voting in elections happens all the time, but like that election, it was like they were at their highest peak, and the government's like, we're not going to investigate that. We're not going to do anything about it.
The most lenient, and they opened up the most avenues for the most fraud to go on. And it's like, you can't get rid of voter fraud completely, but you can take steps to mitigate it as much as you can. In person, ID verified voting, and very,
with
checks and balances
dealing
all
with
throughout the
everything we have
process.
to do with,
One day, so there's no
well,
screwiness going on.
If we finally
Like,
beat
that's how you
Medicare,
do it.
Thank you, President.
And that is not what happened. It's literally the opposite of what happened. So
Yeah, pretty much.
there is no argument against that. There was a large amount of fraud, like the highest percentage of fraud in history.
Yeah, like the most election fraud, and they're like, but that's all that is. Like, if we investigated, we wouldn't find anything more than we know.
Right.
Like we don't even know the extent of the corruption. Like, it's the worst, and we don't even know how bad it is.
Yeah. It's just common sense, like deduction deduction reasoning or whatever. That's just
Right. It's just logic. Like, come on.
And then they're saying the exact opposite. It's like, it was the safest, most fairest election. It's like, dude, what do you mean?
Someone just tweeted, "I say give them both a Roku remote, and the first one to start a movie gets to be president." I like that. I'll accept that.
Find ourselves in
I
a
had
situation
that's
where, number one,
yeah,
we have to
fair
make
enough.
sure that we have a fair tax system.
A fair
Ask
tax
anyone out
system.
there in the
Okay,
audience,
okay,
anyone
Biden.
out watching this debate,
All right, go to
think
sleep.
The tax system is fair. The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in.
Listen, man, I make $400,000 and I'm not paying more in taxes. Dang it!
But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America.
What? How does that tax
He
you?
wants to get away with get rid of
Just
the
taxing
ability
people that are
Medicare
importing goods.
or the ability
Huh?
for the
Yeah, how does that make
to be
sense?
able to negotiate direct
Let's
prices.
punish people
understand.
who are
Guess
boosting
what?
the economy.
We got it down to
That's exactly the solution.
Insulin instead of
Good.
$400, no more than
Brilliant.
$2,000 for every senior, no
Big
matter
brain.
what how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years.
I don't think he
Because
knows
the
how
government
numbers
had to
work.
pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make
I
that
think he
available
just says
to every
numbers.
senior. All
2,
Obama's
4.
happening now.
He
And
doesn't know the meaning
8.
behind the numbers. He just
we have,
says
we're gonna
numbers.
Make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child
I'm gonna
care.
get more money
Make sure we
that
do
that's
something
not
about
mine.
What?
doing
I hate
lead
I hate
pipes
that. No, we won't
causing health problems.
fix the economy for families. We won't lower the taxes for families. No. We will make sure that we have people to take care of their kids while they're suffering.
Like so many
Like, what the hell?
politicians, this man
How
is
is-
just a
That
complainer.
makes sense.
He said,
What
we
are-
want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that
He's
tax.
He's
Well,
mocking
like
him.
an
But he doesn't do
overcomplicated
He
and
doesn't do- all he
stupid
does is
solution.
make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools
Child
in
care is the
Afghanistan.
solution.
We didn't stop Israel. It
Asshole.
was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business
I
with
would
the
enjoy
United
it if
States. They all
Iran
passed.
went back to
was
being
They had
broke
no money for Hamas
and
or
not
Hezbollah,
being
for
full of
terror, No money
missiles.
whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like.
Never seen it.
Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden.
Man,
Stay
we
with
need the
us
cheering.
because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now.
Where's the
on
cheering
CNN.
at?
Oh, woo!
There you go.
Abrupt.
Yippee. We watched that.
Mm-hmm. Seen that now. wasn't that?
I thought that was freaking amazing. I don't think Trump did anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty spot on.
it was pretty much as predicted. Like, they, had set questions that were obviously passed to Biden, and they took away the audience. They had mic muting, and he still made a huge fool of himself. All the help in the world. Two weeks at Camp David for preparation didn't help one bit. Even looked like he had something in his right ear there. Doesn't help one bit.
Planted earpiece.
And he obviously had some kind of like pre-written notes, probably given to him like in between commercial breaks or something, because he was standing there with a pen and reading off notes, but we saw him spacing out that whole time. He wasn't writing notes.
No.
Like, he was pulling the funniest faces. Like, he looks so lost. Like, how can you vote for someone that looks so distant?
He did.
Like, the look on his face 100% of the
Muppet
time.
face.
It's hilarious. Just, whoa. Oh. Crazy. And yeah, no strong arguments to speak of. Oh, January 6th.
No.
Touching women. Stuff.
That was one of Joe Biden's faces.
Yeah.
It just lopsided frowny face. Typed in Muppet. There's another one. That's
see this
all right. Yeah, we got two
very
lore accurate faces. I don't know if we can find any more here.
See, this is him as soon as it was over.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, that's a pretty good one. Shifty eyes.
Look at this one. He looks so vacant. It's perfect.
It really. That's him.
Dude, he just looks like Bert all the time.
He's Bert. Yo, what the dog doing? What the dog doing?
What is he doing? Are we live?
Yeah, we're still alive. We gotta talk about this debate.
Dog doing? Can the stream see these GIFs?
No, I don't show them the Discord. That would be
Gosh dang it.
That would be a big security issue.
Can you show them the GIF somehow?
No.
This is so sad. They're missing the best part of the stream.
There's so many good ones.
Is that Elmo?
Yes. Just looking really intently at the screen.
Yo, what the... What the hell, play? Crooked eyes. Those eyes. Nothing behind them.
Dude, there's so many ones of Elmo.
Oh.
He looks into the camera more often than Jim in The Office. All right, one more. The Mr. Hooper one is perfect, dude.
He like never closed his mouth. It was very. I don't know what he was doing. He's just mouth breathing, I guess. The whole time.
All right, so that debate, yeah, I mean, Biden was not strong. He had all the help in the world and still made a fool of himself. No strong arguments, just kept cycling back to things he said last election. Didn't really, just like all he did was stand there and try to pin everything that he's done on Trump. Was all he did. Like, it was not strong at all. Like, no good defenses, no good excuses, like... Just absolute nonsense. I really hate that they couldn't like argue. That made it kind of boring.
Yeah. I don't know why. Can't just put him in a room. Put him in a cage.
Put him in the ring.
Put him in the ring. 10 minutes in the ring. I want to see blood. Metaphorically. Well.
RFK Jr. is doing his own stream where he's debating the debate. That's kind of
What does that
pathetic.
even mean? He's like, you see, my
Stick it in the
voice is
chat.
really messed up and I'm debating things. Yeah.
a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most
Well,
admired
Los
country in the
Angeles,
world. We're the United States of
California.
America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea
Wait, what is
that we're
happening?
talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159,
4 million views on
58,
this.
don't hold me the exact number. Presidential historians.
don't know.
They've had meetings and they voted.
What
Who's the
the
worst
heck?
president in
Is he
American
just-
history?
he's just watching
One
it?
through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all.
I think
of
he plans
American
to say
history.
things,
That's
but
a fact.
he's really
That's not
just
that's not
looking at it
conjecture.
right now.
He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses.
Vivek
to
Ramaswamy
hold-
tweets,
to
they didn't
have-
drug up
President
Biden, they
So, President Trump,
lobotomized
the
him
question was
instead.
about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand,
That
we
might
have
have been
polling. We have other things
play.
that do.
Wait,
they rate him
he's
the worst.
so
Because
RFK
what
is
he's
on
done
a
is so bad.
podium
And they rate me. I'll
with
show
a
you. I will
dude
show you.
looking
and they
at
rate
him.
me one of the best. Okay, and if I'm given another 4 years,
I'm
I
so
will be the
confused.
best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country.
Yeah,
The
I'm
worst
just waiting for him
president
to
in
say
history
something.
by
He's
far,
just
and everybody
he's
knows
just
it.
standing on a podium watching this debate.
He's
The fact of the matter
existing.
is that he's dead
He's
wrong
just
about-
existing.
He's increased the tariff.
Maybe-
He will
What's going
increase
on?
They're gonna
the,
pause it,
taxes
and
on
then he's
middle-class
gonna
people.
say
All
a
right,
thing.
I'll unmute it if he happens to say something. Not that I care that much. He's not gonna win.
I'm fascinated at the setup
Independent.
going on here.
Yeah, like I was kind of waiting for something to happen. I was interested. Man.
Wait, there's people. There's
Yeah,
like
there's
a bunch
people
of people
watching
right
him
there.
watch this debate on the podium. It's so awkward. And he's even got a little moderator guy.
RealDebate.com.
What's his job?
I don't know. Oh. He paused it. Dude, it's John Stossel. What the F?
What the heck?
It's John Stossel. What the hell?
CNN has
Who's
somehow
John
found a
Stossel?
child care crisis in America.
He's a
Somehow
libertarian,
Americans raised children for years.
news guy
Now there's a crisis because
who's
it
interviewed
costs too
a
much.
bunch of people.
Oh, so
That's
he's a
something
perpetual loser.
Government did or can fix.
No,
Well, the
he's
reason
actually
there's a crisis
pretty good.
is because
Our,
the economy with the middle class.
His career is good.
So in
and the
order
Libertarian
to
Party
pay
is
for a home,
cringe,
you
like
need
Tommy
2
said.
jobs or 3
Yeah, it
jobs.
is
I don't know if he
So
supports that or not,
oftentimes,
but
I'm
John
running into
Stossel
people
himself
with
is
4
pretty cool.
jobs between the couples.
Interesting.
The couple it used to be when you and I were growing up, mom stayed at home, or a parent stayed at home and took care of the kids. That doesn't happen anymore. Now both parents, in order to hold on to that home, need to be working. So we do have a child care crisis in this country, and it's because of the destruction that both these men contributed to of the American middle class, and neither of them is offering any way to restore the middle class. Child care for black Americans, John, is 37% of income. A single child.
Come on.
Oh,
listen
and
to this
nobody
guy.
can afford
Why aren't we
that.
going-
Hurting
And
the ears.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind
Sorry,
down. I'm
man.
Gonna balance our
I
budget,
can't
which is what
understand
President Trump
you.
promised to do, but I'm actually going to do it because why?
It makes my
Because
throat
it's
hurt.
existential. If we don't have the courage to do that, no matter what
Wait, so
the
he
cuts
says,
are,
so he admits
have
Donald
to do
Trump
that,
promises
or
to
we
fix
are
it,
in a
but I'm the one that's
ceaseless
actually going to do. You're stupid.
as an influential nation.
You're
I'm the
you're
pragmatic.
talking yourself out of the vote
We
actively.
cannot cut our way out of this debt. We have to build new industry. We have to build GDP. And one of the most efficient ways of building GDP is through child care, through guaranteed child care.
So,
What?
22%, 22 times return on investment. As I said, every $1 million we spend on military weapons creates 2 jobs. Every $1 million we spend on child care creates 22 jobs. And we need to grow our way out of this budget death spiral. And one of the ways
he
we're
just
going
cucked
to do
him out
that
of
is
the-
by providing child
his
care,
last
by
thoughts.
taking away $500 billion from the military.
Back to the CNN debate.
He did.
he's like, all right, enough of your babbling. We're going to come
Yeah,
back
he's
to
just
the-
going on about black child care like Biden was. Why are they towing this line? I just
That is very weird. I don't know if he's like John Stossel is this like a libertarian thing, or is this just like a RFK thing?
I think it's just an RFK thing. Because he's independent. Or he's running independent.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure.
Savannah Hernandez says, anyway, main takeaway from the debate. If you've ever been raped by your sister or need an abortion, vote for Joe because he's got you.
What? Raped by your sister?
Yeah, that's what he said. Remember?
That's what he said?
Remember in the, when he was going on about the border, he was like, oh, people, a 12-year-old girl just got raped by people coming over the border, but listen, people get raped in their families by their sisters and fathers and...
Yo, what the freak?
Like, that was remember, that was his excuse. Was like, oh, everybody's gonna rape you, who cares?
I didn't understand fully what he was talking about, so that's...
Yeah, it was
that's
like...
worse than I thought.
Yeah, he was being dismissive of rape. It was so bad. Lauren Chen just posts China. China.
China.
Nate Shaloman tweets, "Welp, it's in the hands of the voter fraud now."
Oh no. Oh no, bro.
Redhead Libertarian. Wait, no, go back. I was invested in the golf debate. That was great. Where it was just a debate of who was the better golfer. They should have just let them go on that one. I would have turned on both mics, just let him have it. Dedicated a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Someone said they should have just done hot ones, and whoever lived can have it.
Ooh, that would have been good.
Candace Owens. Biden is quite literally reading the answers from his note cards. He's not even pretending he didn't receive the questions beforehand. I have to respect that. Oh, I wish I could show the audience this. I'm gonna send it to you guys, though. You have to click on it because Twitter links are gay.
They get nothing. You get nothing. Life imitates art.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh. Great. You can explain it to him. It's like a side by side of
EPC?
Joe Biden and NPC. NPC man.
Amy Schumer says she will move to London if Trump is elected. All right, Schumer, have
Really?
fun getting stabbed in London.
Yeah, that's totally gonna happen. Totally. Oh, he's talking again. The drugs aren't gonna kill you because that's a choice that you should make for yourself. suicidal. But if you want to be suicidal, that's on you. Because who cares?
By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my
Schedule
position.
marijuana. We
In
all
addition
need
to
marijuana.
that, we found ourselves in a situation where, when he was president, he was taking separate. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly.
So you know how Biden claimed that the Border Patrol Union endorsed Biden? Well, they just tweeted that they did not. They said, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. Damn. Killed in real time.
That's rough. RFK is for that rehabilitation programs. For sure.
You have the morals of an alley cat. It's like something you sing about the Grinch.
This is a riveting stream now.
Yep. So riveting. So good.
Bro, RFK is like struggling. He needs to take a is it a downer? What makes you like mellow out?
Prozac. Melatonin.
He needs something to mellow out the nerves. He's shaking up a storm over there. He's so tense.
Any drinking game will result in death tonight.
Yeah, I would say so. Dang, 7.3 million views now. $4.6 million live viewers?
So I'm distracted by a video of Pauly Shore. He's saying that he banged a Chinese transgender. I'm
Who?
trying to figure out what his point is.
Who did that?
Because there was weird shit in there. Because they man-made it. There was.
What?
The hell? The hell?
What?
Exactly.
I have to send you this video. I'm going to have the audience listen to it at the same time. I'll give you like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So listen, so what I was saying about having sex with this transgender woman that I recently had sex with.
Woman
So
Did you really?
yes, the vagina is man-made. It's a man-made vagina. You know that, right? Like someone made it.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the surgery. The surgery is a
Okay,
surgery.
with a transgender person.
Yes, with a transgender
A
woman.
man
Is
made
man-made.
it.
The vagina is man-made.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a doctor does
Okay,
it. Yeah, yeah, so we're clear on that, right?
Yes, yes.
So listen. So I had sex with a transgender woman. Chinese, listen. I had sex with a transgender woman.
Wait, I'm listening. I am listening. Okay, so you
see
had
why
sex
I was
with
baffled by
okay.
this.
Okay, sorry. She's getting uneasy. She wants to
No,
know what it is.
just get to the
Pauly
thing.
Shore is
Get
gay.
to the thing. All right. So I had sex with a transgender woman, and when I put it in, it made that macaroni,
Yes.
or that was it the macaroni noise?
Macaroni in a pot.
But it also went bzz, 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 brrrr, pa 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 pa, brrrr, because there was weird shit in there because they man-made it. There was some like weird other
You were
things.
getting through scar tissue.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And there was like a thing that was under it going like this, and it was a great. It was like literally the best orgasm I ever had. It's like, you know how they say once you go black, you don't go back. Once you go trans, you don't go back either.
Really?
So I'm not gonna have sex with any more just normal women.
Okay.
Only trans, because it's the best vagina in the world. A man-made pussy is better than a normal pussy. What do you want from me? Next question.
Next question.
Is he trolling? What is going on here?
What?
How is that
this man?
serious? He's an actor.
This has got to
Okay.
be parody.
So,
or a
wait,
joke.
he was saying that there were electronics in there?
I don't know.
That's what it sounded
Like,
like.
it's funny. Like, he admitted that it was all screwed up, and then he's like, but it's the best, though.
Why is this
Sounds like
woman
there was
talking
some
about-
electronics in there, too.
What? How would that even make sense?
I don't know.
What the hell? Pauly Shore is gay. Yes. Yes, he is. He is gay. This is what we figured out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh man, that was an insane level of cope.
All right.
Either that or he's trolling.
The man-made.
Like either he's trolling or that was just the most insane cope I've ever witnessed.
He said man-made like a lot, so I'm thinking it might be a joke, but I don't know.
I think he was on something, too.
He was definitely high, like, because he kept like describing it. What was that all about? Well, that was bizarre.
Verbal flashbang.
All right. Well, with that,
that's I think that's all the time we have for today. Really, I don't know what to tell you guys.
Stop
We
that.
kind of. I mean,
There you go.
you know, it was kind of. I mean,
Some
it was
extra
it
lore.
was stupid. That was a stupid debate, wasn't it? That was kind
mean,
of embarrassing.
I don't know. I mean, not for Trump, but
I mean, yeah, it wasn't embarrassing for him, but it was like, you know, like most people, I don't know, they know who they're gonna vote for, right? Like the debate is like a spectacle. You want to see
it's just
people
it's a
insult
reassurance
each other
that Joe Biden's a
and-
retard and Trump is exactly right.
Well, okay. I guess there's also the assurances, but like, I guess for me personally, I like the spectacle. I like the back and forth. I like people talking over each
You see a
other
bloodbath.
and going, you know, shooting lowbrow insults at each other. Like I would have liked to see a third person up there as well.
Like RFK.
You know, yeah.
Bruh.
If he was up there to embarrass himself as well, that would have been great. Because, you know, then Trump could have sniped two posers at once.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Personally, I didn't really get anything out of it. It was pretty much what I expected.
I think Trump is on top of current thing while Joe Biden is literally like Muppet Man.
Yeah, like Biden's arguments are completely limited to like what he remembers from when he had memory. Like there's nothing new. There's nothing new in there. It's just old insults to counteract current atrocities that are being thrown at him. Like he's got nothing descriptive, like he doesn't talk about how, he doesn't go into specifics about how he's going to stop the war or increase the economy or anything. He just goes on about black families and giving people money and being a bloody socialist and paying off student debt, which is unfair to everyone.
And apparently it doesn't matter if illegals rape us, because it's apparently our families will.
Yeah, because our families will. Yeah. Yeah, apparently it just doesn't matter. It makes it all okay. It's fine.
So after this stream, apparently
lock your door. Lock your doors tonight, guys.
Yeah, Micah. After this stream, apparently Saul is gonna rape you.
Oh no, bro.
Whoa.
I have a gun.
Apparently, you're more likely to get raped by Saul than by an illegal immigrant.
Oh my god.
You gotta watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Those in-laws, they're gonna...
Watch your in-laws. They're gonna rape you.
Yeah, you have no idea. It's just obviously way more prevalent than criminals doing it. Actual criminals.
Murder and rapists. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, the people coming across the border with records, all those people, no. Not as much of a threat as the people that you live with. Definitely. Obviously. And that makes it all better. That's a good excuse. Totally not an insane and unconscionable thing to say.
No, definitely not.
That's wild.
Comment below your favorite quote from the debate. That'll be fun. And thanks for listening. We will be back for future debates. We'll cover all of them. It'll be great. It'll be a fun time. I hope there's a lot more. I hope people take up Trump on his offer. Come on, next week, let's go. I like the chutzpah, I don't think anyone will, but yeah. We'll be back. That's a threat.
We'll be back. Like the Terminator.